hello, and welcome to another gripping, riveting episode of The Cigar Professor. I regret to tell you tonight's episode is shaping up to be an absolute disaster. If you have anything else that you can do with your evening, I highly recommend it. I don't even have to know what it is. I highly recommend you do that instead, because tonight's show is going to be absolutely terrible. The only silver lining, the only upside, the only thing that is going to make tonight's show in any way of any value to the human race is the fact that it will make every future show seem amazing. And the reason is not so much that Professor Damo isn't joining us. I mean, that's not that much of a letdown. Let's be honest. I mean, but I reached out to all of the excellent, wonderful people that I know to try and replace him and bring someone really, really genuinely good on the show for a change. But of course, none of them were available. And so then I reached out for all of my crappy friends to see if any of them could come on, and none of them were available. So then I scraped the bottom of the barrel to see if I was really desperate and I had no standards at all, could I get someone on the show? And regrettably, I still couldn't. So I had to punch a hole through the bottom of the barrel. And that's where I found tonight's special guest, Mr. Stu. How are you, mate?
G'day. I'm doing pretty well, thanks. Yourself?
How's that for a wonderful, wonderful introduction? Do you feel special?
Mate, I think you spoke it up a little bit too high. I think you gave me too much praise.
Too much praise. Well, that sounds about right. Now, can I just say there is a certain Monopoly Man-esque kind of look to you, kind of like a steampunk Monopoly Man, right? You've got the hat, You've got the glasses on the hat, you've got like a steampunk beard going on this, but there's just still somehow there's an element of Monopoly Man in you. Have you bought any hotels recently?
You're not the first one to say it. I just wish I had all the money.
It's definitely there. It's definitely there. There is an element of that. Now, Daniel is a little bit offended that I never called him as I was hunting around for people to come on the show. Daniel, you blow too many rings. He wasn't low enough. No, he blows too many rings. I can't have competition on the show. Screw that. I have to be like the big dog with the rings. Just like, True. Come on, seriously. I mean, we've never. I'm not even going to say their names, but we've had other people on the show that could blow rings. They've never come on a second time. There's a reason for this. This is not a coincidence. I ain't no fool. I ain't no fool. All right. Now, Stu, I believe you have tonight's cigar in hand as well. And I'm guessing that, like me, you don't know an awful lot about this particular stick. This is the Highclere Castle Victorian Maduro. All right.
That was like the one?
So we know that is the one. We know Highclere Castle. This is the castle where they filmed Downton Abbey. They were doing some renovations and some work on it. They found a box of old expired cigars in the walls. They were obviously no good to smoke. They were well and truly past it, but they reverse engineered the blend and they figured out what they think was in those cigars and what they probably tasted like. And they recreated that blend. And that was the original Highclere Castle cigar blend. And since then, they've branched out. They contract manufacture and they get a bunch of different cigars made. Now, what they've tried to do, though, is kind of keep with this historical theme. So last month, we had the Edwardian Connecticut. Now, that was a cigar that essentially they were trying to recreate the flavor profile from the Edwardian era. So that's King Edward and in a Connecticut. This is from the Victorian era. And this is intended to be a Maduro. It should be more full-bodied. It should have a little bit more flavor. Last month's cigar, I think there was a bit of a consensus that perhaps the first third was a little bit too mild for its own good. It maybe didn't have enough going on in that first third. Then it got good. It did get good after that. But we're going to have to wait and see whether this one perhaps kicks off a little bit better from the get-go. Now, it is an unfortunate reality. It's one of the duties that I have as a cigar professor to tolerate Omar. And so without further ado, Omar, how are you?
Tough. I'm good. I'm worried about you.
Are you tolerable this month?
Look, to be honest, I was going to Aubrey, wherever you are. Never sold. We're doing a funeral soon, so. But look, as unfortunate as it sounds, you're still freaking alive. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of high drama, we should probably address the lack of the elephant in the room, which is the lack of a Professor Damo.
Yes.
Why he's not here. You know this story a little bit better than I do. I was just on the phone with him 2 days ago, but I'll be honest, I've been pretty caught up in my own life and the madness of my own situation for the last month. It seems like a pretty tough season for a lot of us. Turns out it might be toughest of all for Damo, and that is saying something. Fill us in a little bit, Omar.
Mate, obviously, you know, I really miss him, to be honest, as much as I give him a hard time about, you know, being whatever. But nonetheless, I really miss him. And I was the sort of the transportation between the hospital, emergency, whatever, twice. It was really bad, dude, to be honest. He's recovering. He's on the road to recovery. And it was respiratory lung-related challenge. He was in the ICU for a while with all sorts of has suits and, you know, isolations and whatnot. And he had tough time.
Yeah.
Look, I think he's good. I think he's slowly coming back to normality, but time is still not real good for him just yet. Obviously, all I can do is, as a mate, pray for him, and if he needs anything, and do it for him. But, you know, I think I thought some was with him, and speedy recovery for Dames.
Yeah, and look, like you, putting all jokes aside, we give each other a lot of shit on this show, and so we should. But absolutely putting all of that aside, I really appreciate you being there for him. Of course, I don't live in Sydney, so I can't in the same way that you have been. So thank you for supporting him. For those that are watching, it was pretty damn serious.
Very serious.
Yeah, it was not out of the question that we could have lost him at some point this last month. It was actually
it was super serious.
They were perhaps one or two bad medical decisions away from us having a very different conversation here tonight. So, in all seriousness, Damo, if you're watching, you know, I salute you. I'm very, very grateful that you're pulling through. It seems like you are, and very, very grateful to you, Omar, for looking after our very dear mutual friend. So,
it's duty. It's
without further ado. Sorry, you go.
No, I said duty. There's nothing more or less than that. If you know, it's a somewhat an honor to be able to help a brother that we care. You know, we call someone a brother. It's nothing but an opportunity to be able to help a mate or a brother.
Yeah, well, look, good on you. And so tonight we are.
Sorry, I was just going to say he was still able, or just able, to get this into the post the night before last. No, I think so. Anyway, I think it was yesterday he got this in,
Monday night.
I was able to pick it up tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And you're able to join us. And so, of course, we enjoy Damo's excellent curation of the Cigar Professor packs, and tonight is no exception. What we have here tonight is the Highclere Castle Victorian in the Maduro. Last month, we kind of criticized the Edwardian Connecticut. So it was a Highclere Castle Edwardian Connecticut last month. We kind of criticized that for being a bit too mild in the first third. It's going to be very interesting to see how this one unfolds. What are your expectations, Omar?
Look, I'm hoping. Yeah, we all said it was it's a if you smoke a lot of cigars, and whosoever smoke a favorite cigars, for someone, you know, sort of been in the cigar game for a little bit, they would have find it a little bit too easy, too soft, too mild, whatever you want to call it. But it turned for good and great. And by the time we hit the middle of the cigar, second, third, it was banging. It was full of flavors. They're full of complexity. It was absolutely the same token. Just straight off the bat on the foot and somewhat on the cold draw, I feel a lot of fruitiness, which is really unusual for a darker wrapper.
I think there's going to be a lot of dried fruit, dried raisin, a alongside a lot of barnyard. I think there's quite a lot of funk in this, a bit of umami and a lot of funk. I will also say, though, the garage that I'm smoking in tonight is not one that I've ever smoked in before. I've been chased in here by the cold. And I've got to tell you, there is a smell of paint fumes and backed up sewage. So I'm a little bit concerned that I might be faced with the minute I try and light this cigar, this entire garage might explode just on the back of the fumes that are currently inside this garage with me.
That just leaves me and you, Omar.
A good choice.
Simon, to answer your question, Damo's out of hospital, but he's not necessarily out of the woods. He is on the mend. He's improving, but he's not completely out of the woods just yet. So keep him in your prayers. And Damo, if you're watching, we are certainly thinking of you and missing you here tonight. I'm going to use the new Cigar Professor lighter that you would have got with your pack number 15 and enjoy lighting up. Little single jet and nice little precise lighter.
That's the one I got.
Oh, beautiful. The quad.
Oh, you got the triple jet. Sorry, yes, you're right. It was the triple jet. It was the triple jet that came
this
out.
This one's got 4.
I forgot about that. Where did I get this from? Where did I get this one from? Who gave me this one then?
This one's 4.
Mixed up.
Yeah, it's a 4 jet. Okay.
We weren't going to give you the good one, so we kept
mixed it up. No, that's right. They give me the crap one. No, who gave me this? Someone, gosh. Was this one that you gave me, Omar? Is this one that you get from the airport? Was it you telling me you get one from the airport?
Yeah, a duty-free one.
Right, that's what it is. So I'm enjoying this lighter. Very precise single jet. Nice and slow.
Mm.
Well, I didn't get to enjoy the benefits of last cigar other than sitting in amongst the smoke of it.
Yeah.
But this one tastes rather typical of a dark cigar.
Mm. Yeah, on the light up straight away, there is a bit of the fruit there. Not a lot of sweetness, but there is a bit of fruitiness. It's like a really tart kind of Christmas cake. That's really like there's not a lot of sweetness in there at all. Forget the custard. There's no custard with it. A little bit of straw, a little bit of kind of like a dirty hay, like a hay-filled barn where the hay hasn't moved in a long time, and there's a bit of water's gotten in. Like there's just that sort of complexity, the chewiness of the texture of it.
Silage.
I find there's a sharp, there's a very sharp spice there. It's not like a softer spice. It's a very sharp tip of the tongue. Very
Not
sharp.
wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong. What is that? The placement is the same as a white pepper, but it's not a white pepper.
Okay, and it's got more of a bite to it. It's got a more like sharp bite, and it's very Cayenne-like, very Cayenne red pepper or chili pepper, typical.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Very interesting.
Szechuan.
A Szechuan pepper, do you reckon? Or did you just want to use the word because it made you sound more sophisticated?
It's one you haven't said, so I have to give it a try.
Good. It could be.
Tony.
Sorry to let you down, mate.
Tony, thanks for joining us. You must have just joined in just a fraction late. Damo has had a really rough month, really tough month, and has actually spent quite a lot of time in hospital, and Omar has been supporting him. It was touch and go, I'm not going to lie. It was this is about as serious as it gets for a man his age. But it does appear that he's on the mend now, and fingers crossed he'll be with us next month for the Cigar Professor. But he is alive, which, you know, that wasn't a given at one point earlier in the month. So very grateful for that. But thanks for joining us, Tony. Hopefully you can light up a cigar. We're having a bit of a cigar in in Damo's honour tonight, and thanking him for providing us with these wonderful sticks, even when he's not able to join us to smoke them.
I agree with Dan. It's quite spot on about paprika and canned pepper. But canned pepper is definitely very pronounced. It's sharp, and his hitting it has calmed down a little bit since. It's calmed down a little bit.
It has. It has. It was really sharp on the light up, which is unusual. I don't often detect a lot of spice or a lot of pepper on the light up.
Yeah.
But it was quite sharp. You were spot on there, and then it's really smoothed out already. This is complex. There's depth to the flavors, but besides that bit of raisin and the dried fruit, there's no specific flavors jumping out at me at this point.
There's a very I don't know if it's barnyard, but very like a deeper earthiness at the lowest, like at the, when we call it in a perfumery, you know, there's a top notes, middle notes, a bottom notes. So at the base of it, there's a bit of a not barnyardy, but very earthy, deep earthy flatness that hits the palate in the end.
Yeah.
Which is nothing at the moment, which is literally nothing at the moment, but it hopefully will develop into something.
So this month I spent 3 weeks looking after a friend's farm. She was in Africa doing a missions trip. And so I was looking after a bunch of Scottish Highland cows. That was interesting. Stupid things. They're very pretty to look at, but boy, are they dumb. A bunch of sheep. They are even dumber, if such a thing were possible. 3 different groups of chickens. Why do you feel the need to split your flock of chickens up? I don't know. She had a grand total of 8, but in 3 separate pens, and I had to go around and feed them all individually. And that I cannot fathom. And then ducks.
Goose duck.
And I've come to the conclusion that I absolutely hate ducks. Cannot stand them. Do not ever want to come across ducks again in my life. They are filthy. They are smelly. They are aggressive. They are ungrateful. They're basically like women.
Actually, matter of fact, they're not only like their characteristics, their moods, and they, you know, it's very, very close. That's a close species you're gonna get. As close as you're gonna get.
So
they walk the same.
You know the test. There's there's a test you can do to see whether your dog or your missus loves you more. You lock them both in the boot of the car, and when you come back in the morning, see which one's happy to see you, right? And that tells you which one actually loves you more.
Which one you let out?
I can tell you, I tried this. I tried this not with my dog and my missus, but with one of the ducks and my missus, and I can tell you the duck was even angrier than my missus. They are a horrible creature.
That's an angry duck.
Yeah, ducks. I reckon between the ducks and the chooks, I've got the whole species covered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I'd keep chooks because, you know, you can eat the eggs. I mean, you can eat duck's eggs as well. But the chooks, simple. They're stupid, but they're not aggressively stupid. They're just stupid. Whereas the ducks, like, they've got some serious attitude on them.
There you go.
Not a fan. Not a fan. No.
Wait until you get the geese you thought they were.
Yeah.
They've got attitude.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, because I don't know my animals very well, so I wasn't even sure if they were big ducks or small geese to begin with. Turns out they were just big ducks. But boy, I just, like, at least with the chicken, right? If it's giving you a hard time, you can kick it really hard, and it's like, oh, I can fly, and it's happy about it. But with the ducks, they just, once they land, they come looking for you. They're coming back to give you a hard time about it. It's just like we got off on the wrong foot, and it never got better.
No animals were harmed in this episode.
Well, look, the RSPCA weren't on site to verify that claim.
Well, someone hasn't seen us in a while, apparently. Camp Creek Hill.
Camp Creek Hill, welcome.
Welcome.
Always a pleasure to have your company.
Always.
I hope you've got something to light up tonight. You can eat the chicken. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. And you can eat a lot of chicken too.
If they stop giving you eggs, they become a part of a chicken minestrone.
The duck tastes better.
You reckon?
Yeah, I love duck.
Kind of like it's kind of greasy, oily, isn't it?
That is good. Having French fries and duck eggs is the best thing you could ever do.
It's a potato. You don't eat them.
Nah.
All right, back to the cigar. We're about sorry, Omar, you go.
No, you go. Yeah.
Sorry. For some reason, sometimes when you talk, I don't actually get any audio. I just see your mouth moving. I like it better that way, just to be clear, but I felt the need to be polite. Talk to me about the cigar. What are your tasting notes? We've got Dan Moore saying that he's got a real hit of cacao.
Look, I was going to say coffee, but I can pass it for cacao.
Mm-hmm.
It's a freshly grounded coffee that you chew in the bean sometime. A bit more darker than cacao, a little bit more darker than cacao. Same sort of genre, same ballpark, but coffee, cacao, definitely there.
Yeah, I agree, and it's a really. Sorry, you go.
I was just saying, just starting to get some uneven burning on it.
User error.
User error. Yeah, it must be user error.
User error.
You're getting uneven burn on one of these. These are a beautifully manufactured cigar. The construction quality is just outstanding.
Oh, there you. Damo's not gonna be happy saying that. We don't make him unhappy.
Well, no. So Camp Creek Hill's given up the darts, he says, and I should take up cigars, he says, because I quit darts. Look, I've never had a cigarette in my life. I've never had marijuana. I've never had speed. Don't ask me about cocaine. But I've never had any of the other ones. And you know what? I'm not even tempted. I have no interest in cigarettes, but cigars are my vice. They are right up there.
I'm almost where you at, Toph. I've never tried anything. Never been drunk in my life. Although I went up to about 22 drinks in 2 hours, did nothing to me. But I've
You're immune.
Yeah. Okay. The freebies at Russell Crowe's party. But going back to cigars, so
Okay.
I have a cigar. I'm not a seasoned smoker. And I would say this is probably the best thing I ever did. Not that I know a lot.
Yeah, right.
I know. Never had a single puff.
Well, no, I mean, yeah. Well, you've only smoked 4 or 5 million cigars in your life. So I wouldn't really expect you to have a reference point, to be able to measure whether this one's any good.
Yes.
Not bad for a week, though.
Nah. Dan reckons
4 or 5 million in a week. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
The boy's doing a cigar trip soon.
So Omar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, where are you going? No, where are you going?
Half a day Hong Kong. They apparently have some good cigars, and then Kuala Lumpur.
Mm-hmm.
Their cigar going to be. They got some good collection there for a couple of days.
Yeah, I've heard good things. I'm trying to get back to the US this year if I can, and I'll make sure this time I've got a bit of time to go and seek out a couple of cigar shops and sit down and have a bit of fun while I'm over there. And I'll send you some photos, Omar, just a bit of cigar porn. Yeah.
No, I'm actually going to be in San Fran for about a few hours before I fly out to mate's wedding in London, Manchester. So I'm gonna go. They got some really good cigar bars, as you know, in London. So we'll check them out. I got the best cigar bars that are in Switzerland. So I'm definitely going to go there and check them out for you, just to let you know.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, just research. That way, it's a tax write-off. It's a tax write-off because you're doing research for the Cigar Professor.
Community research for Cigar Professor.
You're taking one for the team, Omar, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of taking one for the team, Omar, I believe, and you won't be sad to hear this. You'll probably be delighted. I believe that I'm going to have to end our friendship and never see you again.
Yes.
It's become a matter of some urgency because you are having a very, very negative effect on me.
Oh.
My mum would say that hanging around you has turned me into a fizzy bin juice drinking soy boy.
Soy boy. Do I look like a soy boy to you? Relax. Your eyesight. How
you are a fizzy bin.
Yes.
You do drink fizzy bin juice for fun.
That's correct. That's correct. That's affirmative. That is affirmative.
So, under your influence, I've begun taking supplements.
What?
And yeah, because you like have this health food shop where you sell all the weird hippie shit.
Mm-hmm.
And Damo, well, his wife more than him, but he's a part of it. They have this online business where they sell a lot of weird hippie shit. And about 7 weeks ago, I walked into a weird hippie shit store in Albury and I started taking weird hippie shit. And I just think for self-protection, I need to just draw a line underneath this and never see you again, just as a precaution.
Yes, that'd be good. That'd be good. That'd be great.
I think it'd be great for both of us. I think you'd be happy. I'd be happy. Everyone wins.
Everyone is happy. Happy soy boy.
Everyone's a winner. So,
tell us more.
I've been taking. Well, so I did some research into ADHD because I'm seeing a counselor. Serious note for a second. I'm seeing a counselor for PTSD. I now have an official PTSD diagnosis, and just to try and help me work through some challenges, some stuff that I've been going through. And one of the things is I've been trying to research because I don't trust experts. I've been looking online, trying to find a variety of different voices, people who disagree with each other, looking at their reasonings and trying to, not that hippie shit, Camp Creek Hill, different hippie shit. I'll get to it. Trust me, it's way worse than marijuana.
I was going to say it's a long-winded way to say you're just going out to get stoned.
Not quite. So I came across Gary Brecker, who's one of these sort of popular online whatever dudes. And I was skeptical at first because he's got the big social media following and he's up there talking to big groups of people and you're kind of like, is this real or is this just a dude who's just managed to find a following and, a cult basically? And so I looked around and did a bunch of background research on the claims that he made and the stuff that he said. And it all kind of checked out, actually. There weren't any claims that he was making that I could invalidate. I went, all right, I'll give this guy some, the time of day. And so I did that and I listened to enough of his stuff to figure out, given my particular set of symptoms, what he would say to people that they were likely to be deficient in and what they should try taking as a supplement, right? So I'm on a couple of amino acids, L-methionine and L-tyrosine, just for mental clarity and then for the ability to create more serotonin and improve mood and that sort of stuff. A methylated B complex, ashwagandha. I'm taking some vitamin D and I take a Barocca every day just as sort of covering the bases kind of stuff. And I've been on that now for about 7 weeks and I can't honestly say I'd noticed much of an improvement. I hadn't really felt like it was doing very much until I ran out of the L-tyrosine and I decided to buy another tub of it and just persevere and just keep going for about 3 months and just see if after 3 months I felt like there was any noticeable difference. But while I was in there, I grabbed lion's mane dried powdered lion's mane.
Yeah.
In powdered form.
Yeah.
I took my first dose on Monday, 2 days ago. And I can honestly say, I just mixed it into my drink the same way that I do, everything else. I mixed it in with the drink. And about 2 hours later, I was like, oh, the sun just came out. Like, honestly, I was sitting in the lounge room and I was just like, oh, the sun came out. And I looked up and I realized the sun had been shining the whole time. The sun hadn't just come out, but something in my head had just sort of brightened up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I found suddenly my mood improved, my mental clarity improved, but simultaneously, what was really interesting, it was like the world went into high definition, but simultaneously everything got quieter. I wasn't being overwhelmed by noise and kids and thises and that's. It was just this really interesting experience. And I kept taking it yesterday and I've been taking it today. And in the last 2 days, I have got more work done than I usually get done in a fortnight. It's just this, like, it's just completely changed my mental outlook. I have more patience. I can deal with noise. I can motivate myself to get stuff done and get started on things and just to sit there and work. It's honestly, I've never had the experience of taking a supplement, because I've tried lots of different things over the years. I've never had the experience of taking a supplement and being able to so categorically see the difference in such a short amount of time. It's never happened to me before.
Yeah. Look, it's obviously a long-winded conversation. We'll get to it. We're going to pause for a moment and just touch base on cigar for a moment so we can continue.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
This is actually really lovely. It's smoothed out. It tastes like an aged cigar. I'm not sure if it is, but it tastes like an aged cigar. It has really well integrated flavors.
Yeah. Look, yes, and I completely agree. It's gone somewhat a monotype, yet complex cigar with a lot of cacao type of flavors running in the back end. Right? But predominantly, it's an earthy cigar, which is not very sweet. The spice has completely gone away. Spice completely disappeared.
Yeah.
It's got this a hint of dry fruits that's very mild, and cacao / coffee, whichever people saying, either or. But the earthiness has jumped up a couple of notch, and it's very smooth, as you say. It's very smooth. It's enjoyable. It doesn't want you to pay a lot of attention. It doesn't want you to pay a lot of attention. No. Just to continue from the
it doesn't demand. Yep.
Yes, doesn't demand any effort. It's an effortless cigar.
Yeah.
Effort.
Yeah.
Continue from a conversation. Obviously, this is not the forum for that, but I had the pleasure to work with some of the most high-profile athletes in Australia, in only two sports. Boxing and NRL, with performance, with performance, right? And that includes usually supplements. Usually, not always, but usually supplements. Gary he's done a lot of work in a type of biology, which doesn't relates back to holistic health as a holistic mechanism, but it's clinical thing where you go, okay, you got this, you got this, you got this, you got this. And what happens is a person's experience doesn't always ends up being a holistic answer, right? There's a good example is lion's mane. So if you go one step back about essential non-essential amino acids, the question that sits on the base of that, further down the line, is why is that only specific amino acids are not metabolizing? This is a bigger question. This is a far bigger question. And that is where the answer is usually as to why. For example, glycine is deficient. Like if you give 10 people the same food, you have different outputs in terms of their character, brain output, physical output, mental output, what have you. So that's just one thing to remember. But from the brain spectrum things, eventually the methylated vitamin Bs would stop working eventually. They will tap out. That would have amazing effects. They will tap out. So perhaps even the methylated or not, they would then need to be cycled, somewhat cycled on and off, on and off, on and off. Same thing with lion's mane.
Okay.
Lion's mane,
Yeah.
it's a very cycle thing. Your body goes through a cycle and it goes on and off. But I wouldn't take any liquid form of lion's mane. Now, within lion's mane, there are two types. You into that, there's two types. One that are the fruit bodies, which has more of the fruit body complex, which is traditionally used in ancient China and Oriental cultures. And then there is a mycelia content, which is then humanly regrown in a lab or in a controlled environment. So there's two distinctive opposite views, which better versus not. But I think the both should be used. So both equal price available in Melbourne, Australia. So I would experiment with both. Your body would tend to like one over the other. If you give me the name, and I'll tell you.
I don't have any idea which one I would have. I just got a high quality powdered dried lion's mane.
Yeah. So, but if you give me the name of the brand, I would know it's either mycelia or the fruit body. Either or. It's very simple. Now, so there's two more things that in the spectrum of up here. Elevating mood. I don't know if you tried theanine or not, or thionine, whatever the right pronunciation is. That is an extract of green tea. Super clinically very potent. Different biologies, sympathetic versus parasympathetic body types respond differently. It's either the morning or a night thing. You'll find it. But L-theanine, it's very cheap. You get pure pharmaceutical L-theanine and mag-threonate. So mag-threonate is specifically for the brain. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It's a form of magnesium. There's no such thing as magnesium. Mm-hmm. It's always a compound of something. Threonate, carbonate, malate, so on and so forth. But threonate, the number 3, threonate, combination with lion's mane and L-theanine is by far the most powerful combination, unless you want to add B12 to it. Complexes are good, but particularly B12. Those things are by far the most powerful combination.
So I'm one of the amino acids I'm taking is L-methionine, which I'm guessing is a derivative or a variation on theanine. And I'm taking methylcobalamin, which is methylated vitamin B12. So I am taking 2, and then once I added the lion's mane. So my suspicion is, number one, obviously individual results will vary. It's evident to me that my particular biology has benefited from the lion's mane. That's not to say that everyone will, but also I strongly suspect that it wasn't the lion's mane on its own. It was the lion's mane being added on top of the vitamin B12, the L-methionine, and everything else, just in combination with everything else. That was the missing piece of the puzzle. But if I'd just taken the lion's mane by itself, I doubt that I would have seen the result that I've seen in the last couple of days.
Interesting, the lion's mane is the one that would give you some effect regardless. Whether you take theanine or thionine, whether you take it or not. This is one thing. I made up he's a tradie, and he's got ADD, or all the D issues, right? He came and did some work for me. He goes, "What you got from me, mate?" I said, "Look, what's the problem?" Right? I said, "Look, let's try this," and which was the powder of lion's mane. And I said, "Try it and see what you think." He came back after 3 days. He said, "Hey, I was gonna tell you, my even handwriting got better, eh?" I'm like, "Yeah, it does, because your neural connection, these fingers, that is the most hidden part of your neural connection, right? And you're right. Guess what we write with our fingers, right? It's the most important part of the fingers." They say even his handwriting concentration got better. So it will work. The lion's mane is by far, it sits on top of it. But remember, you might have to cycle it. Go higher dose, slowly reduce those, higher dose, and check it out.
Yeah. So Camp Creek Hill, yes, lion's mane is a type of mushroom. Relatively common. You can actually just buy them. I think even Aldi has these fungi boxes that you rip the sides off. You put a bit of water in, hang them in your shower or in your bathroom where it gets steamy and it's kind of dark most of the time, and they grow, and you can just pluck them and eat them. Or you can just do the lazy thing like I did and buy it in a dried powdered form. But yes, absolutely, it's a mushroom. I tell you what, mushrooms are the one thing. I've no interest in marijuana. I've no interest in cocaine or speed or crystal meth or any of these. I couldn't care less. But mushrooms, I'm starting to get interested. I got to tell you, I'm starting to get interested in mushrooms. And people talk about microdosing psilocybin and these sorts of things for whether it's for PTSD or for various other things. And I'm starting to think, that not that I'm going to do it necessarily, not without a lot of research first, but I'm like, that's actually interesting to me.
The two humans in the world that has most work on psilocybin is obviously Paul Stamets. He's probably has done the most work. He's done enormous amount of work. And Dr. Terry in Canada. One is an American, one is Canadian. He had a U.S. patent. Stamets has a U.S. patent with 4 ingredients, right? And obviously, we don't know what it is, the actual exact combination. But he believes the combination of lion's mane, niacin, and psilocybin, when it's fermented in a specific substance, is absolutely blah, 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 and blah.
Yeah.
So I had to be awake for about 2 nights straight. And it's very specific formulation. It's calculation by the MGs, right? MCGs, right? So we did a couple of experiments, and it was phenomenal. Like, phenomenal. Like, if I tell you, you won't believe it. There's a group of few people to give it to, and obviously I have to try. Otherwise, no one's going to think. I took it in the afternoon, really specific. Everything really specific. Took it in the afternoon, driving. I have an hour and a half drive to get home. I was starting to get a headache. I'm like, fuck, I really fucked up. So I got home and I said, you know what? I'm going to go try to sleep, and I was going to write it off. I got home. Headache was there, but I was able to manage to sleep, right? I got up in the morning. I got out of my house. I looked at my ute. I'm like, what a beautiful piece of machine. Like, where the fuck does that come from? I've never seen it before. And I looked far. I said, this is the most gorgeous landscape I've ever seen. I'm like, the sky was never seen anything like it. I'm like, I need to go to work. This is good. Life is so great. I jumped in my car and I was driving. My mate rang me. He goes, you know, the stuff that you gave me yesterday. I said, yeah, what happened? By the way, he's a very famous human. He's very famous. So I have 1 million followers and whatever. He goes, man, my wife has asked me for months to do something, and I haven't done any of that shit. I got home and I finished everything. I moved half the house around. Things are just perfect for me. Life could not be any better. I'm like, this is so fucking good. And it's no high. You're not high.
Yeah.
You don't feel that you're perfectly in control. And it was the most amazing feeling I ever had. Amazing.
Yeah. So I'm experiencing a small amount of what you're describing.
Oh, really?
Where just the addition. Sorry, you go.
No, you go.
Okay. Just the addition of the lion's mane. So there were a couple of phone calls that I needed to make that I was not looking forward to making, and I've been procrastinating and postponing, and of course it doesn't go away. It just gets worse the longer you wait, right? And I just sat down and I just made one phone call after another. Bang, 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 bang. Got through all the conversations, jumped into my email inbox, which was backed up, cleared out a bunch of stuff, answered a bunch of emails, caught up with a bunch of things, started working on a project that I've been procrastinating and struggling to get to. I had a meeting with my team. I was in the best mood I've been in for ages, and we had a great conversation strategizing going forwards, where previously, just because of what else has been going on, I've been in survival mode, just do the bare minimum to get by. All of a sudden, I was strategizing and looking forward and thinking about next steps and et cetera. I was a new person.
Yeah.
I will say though, that Camp Creek Hill has a point.
Yeah, like I think if you do what you are passionate about, if that's your work, then it becomes irrelevant.
Yeah.
If you're passionate about something, you love what you do. It makes it a lot better. Perspective changes.
Did you notice that this got a little bit smoother after the ash fell?
Mm. Which leads to the point that I wanted.
So I've dropped the ash. Sorry. Yeah, you did. All right, shut up. Shut up. David, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Apologies, my internet's pretty sketchy tonight, but we're getting by. We're getting by. Thoughts on the stick? Hang on. If this will work, there we go. Initial light up was actually quite spicy. It's smoothed right out. For me, Omar, this doesn't taste like what I expect from a Maduro. This is fruitier. This is
very
in a
light.
way, this is just better. This is actually it's just a great Maduro.
Yeah, it's a great Maduro. Not a typical, but it's light and fluffy. Not a thicker, deeper smoke. Very light and fluffy.
Yeah, beautiful. Really enjoying it. Hitting the back of my throat a little bit harshly, but I think that's because I'm not 100% well at the moment. So I don't think that's the cigar. I think that's just my throat's a bit sensitive. But absolutely gorgeous, and one of those sticks that you just want to immediately get a 10 pack, get a box, and add it to your humidor.
Yeah, 100%. Beautiful band as well. I really like the band. It's not try hard. It's nice.
No. You can't complain about the construction quality, the presentation, or the blend. They've just done a really good job with this.
Absolutely.
You know, it'd be interesting. Damo talks a lot about the effect that cigars have on each other if they spend a long time in the humidor around each other. And I actually feel like this would be a great stick to have in amongst your Connecticut's.
Yeah.
Just to let a little bit of this fullness leach into the Connecticut's that you've got. I reckon that would be a humidor upgrade right there.
Does that still work if it's in its plastic, or do you take them apart and sit them all beside each other that way?
Oh, heathen. It's not plastic, it's cellophane. There's a world of difference.
It's breathable too, so no problems. You can put them.
Yeah, you put them in the cellophane, and they'll still breathe. They'll still affect each other as they sit next to each other.
Roger, absolutely.
Daniel asked before what we're drinking.
All right.
I noticed we haven't drunk anything yet. Topher.
Oh no, I have. I've just got tea. That's all.
I'm on the Kilkenny's.
Nothing exciting. Sorry.
Nothing exciting.
Oh, so it was you. Every episode of South Park, I've always wondered who killed Kenny. It turns out it was you.
You bastards.
You bastards.
Yeah. That's him.
All right. Midpoint check. I reckon I'm about halfway through the second third now.
Yeah.
There's been a slight uptick in a pepperiness. It was gone for a while. It was super smooth. I've got a very slight pepper, bottom lip, top lip, and tip of the tongue.
Yeah. Pepperiness has come back for sure. I still think it's more of a canned type of pepper, and it's back, and it's not annoying. It's just there kind of thing.
It's just there. Yeah,
it's got this same earthy / coffee cacao type of notes still there. It's not a sweet cigar,
right?
But it's just well rounded. I would say adding Maduro is well rounded.
Yeah. I'm just trying to improve my internet situation here.
You've improved the screen.
Let's see you. Shut up.
That got a whole lot better.
I'm on a tethered mobile where I am at the moment. There we go. That actually looks like it might have helped, though. You guys, my view of you guys has become clearer, which is unfortunate.
My picture's better if I'm not in it.
All right, tell us about this old beast you got behind you, Stu. What is that?
1975 XB GS Coupe.
Ooh.
Factory 302, Factory GS. Pepper red with black fabric interior.
Nice.
And did
I've
it come factory with that?
Yes.
Did it come factory with that layer of dust, or did you add that?
Did you say rust? Yeah, I think they all came with rust. I've had this car for over 20 years, and I've never driven it.
Wow.
Never ever.
There you go. There you go. That's one way to make sure you don't write it off, I guess. It's just never take it out of the garage. Now, to answer David's question, how do you compare these two cigars? They are so different.
Very different. Very, very different. I think, David, we were talking about this before, but the Connecticut for the first third was very extremely mild.
Bland almost.
Yeah, almost bland. It became very complex as we went to the mid-second until the end. It was very complex. It was very light, fluffy, bakery notes, and if I'm remembering correctly, like cinnamon type of notes. But this one, obviously, it's more of an earthier nuances, coffee or cacao, spice. The other one didn't have much spice, if I remember correctly. So there's a bit of difference. There's a bit of, as you would, in Maduro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, one's a Maduro, one's a Connecticut, but also within the Highclere Castle sort of brand, they like to do sort of historical cigars. They're trying to replicate different cigar blends as they would have existed at different moments in history. Last month was their Edwardian Connecticut. This is their Victorian era Maduro. So what that means in practice, I'm not entirely sure, but essentially what they're doing with their brand is trying to recreate flavor profiles from history as best as they can reverse engineer them based on whatever information they can find. I would say this is a cigar probably best reserved for more experienced cigar smokers. It'd probably be a bit too much for a novice smoker, but also it would just be a little bit lost on them. They wouldn't, I mean, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really appreciating this, but if I gave it to a novice, I'd be a bit worried that it was just kind of, a lot of it would just go over their head.
Yeah, I totally agree. It would. It most certainly would. Yeah, and I think I wouldn't say no to neither of them.
Oh, I wouldn't say no to either of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very good cigars, both of them. Just different.
Now, Tim's asking a great question here, but I think he meant to make it plural. Who are the ugly guys wearing hats at night? Because there's two of you.
You're just biased. You don't have a beard.
Now, actually, I've got some correction to make in that. Tim, there are two men, and there's a sort of a tea,
Soy sipping.
Yeah, something like that. So we can.
Can I make the point that you two are doing the world a favor by covering as much as you possibly can? I am doing the world a favor by revealing as much as I possibly can. Both of us are accomplishing the same thing.
Now,
we're covering where the hair doesn't grow.
Yeah, because the hair covers the rest. That's my point.
The easiest way to recognize a lion from the rest of the pride is the mane. That is perhaps the only way to do it.
That's why Topher needs the supplements.
Yeah, I didn't mention that supplement, Stu. That's a trade secret, right? You're not supposed to talk about that.
Really makes sense. Yeah, at 2 degrees in the middle of nowhere. Yes,
makes sense.
Roger that, Tim.
Tell you what, staying out on the farm for 3 weeks where I was looking after a friend's property. It was up in the hills a little bit, and oh boy, you'd go out in the morning to feed the cows and the sheep and all the rest of it, and the grass is just crunching beneath your feet, like it just, I've like crunchy grass. It's quite something.
Yeah, something.
I think Mr. Hill's onto it.
Well, what's that Monty Python line? You are all individuals. I'm not. There's a bit of a sour twist creeping in now. I'm getting towards the end of the final third. There's a tartness. I can't quite place it.
I was going to say, as soon as you mentioned tartness, I was going to say, still like a dry, fruity thing, but it also reminds me of green apple type of fruitness as well.
Yeah. A really tart Granny Smith.
Yeah.
Because it is still relatively fresh. I was predicting barnyard, and to be honest, that there hasn't been much of that. It's been quite clean. It's been quite fresh, and even now with that sourness, it's still quite a fresh sourness.
100%. There's none of that. But what I was about to say, it's got a beautiful. It just turned into very beautiful, fruity foot smoke. The foot smoke is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's the kind of cigar you want to have a room with 4 people smoking it all at once and just fill the room with the aroma.
Yeah.
You know how there are some cigars where you'll wear a hoodie or a jacket and you'll smoke the cigar, and then the next day your jacket just smells like ash. It just smells awful and dry and all that. And there are other cigars where you wake up the next day and the aroma that remains is really, really nice. And I feel like this is going to be one of the good ones.
Good ones. I don't know what this guy is talking about. He's talking out of his backside. However, this other gentleman that I have a lot of respect for, Tim, makes perfect sense to me.
Is there any other type of Granny? I just thought that's what they were. That's how they came.
But human hybridization has made them sweet at some point.
So an apple of today is considered pretty much or very, very close to confectionery. As they keep finding the sweet varieties, they'll then propagate those and then find the sweet one out of that and propagate those. Yeah. And basically the apple of the day to keep the doctor away keeps the dentist employed.
Speaking of dentists, here's some earth-shattering news for you. I'm going to get an assessment tomorrow and a quote on getting my teeth straightened.
Oh, fuck.
I wouldn't. I'm going to turn into an absolute pretty boy. Who would want to cover a face like this once I've got straight teeth? I tell you, I'm going to be
pretty
gorgeous.
soy boy.
I'm going to be gorgeous. You're just jealous that you don't get any when you walk down Smith Street. When you walk down Smith Street in Brunswick, none of the boys come chasing after you. You're just jealous.
Yeah, it's a good thing, right?
I can live with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Tim raises a good point. Omar, this isn't the Apple Professor. Stu, just settle down with the Apple information. You can start your own YouTube channel for that one.
The Apple Professor.
So a cigar will change in its flavor profile over the journey as you smoke it, and that's because it's a natural product and it gets rolled with all of the leaves facing in one direction. So as you go through, you get more and more stem, and the leaves themselves will change their flavor. But also, just by virtue of it being a natural product that's been hand rolled out of natural leaves, the ratio. So there's 5 different tobaccos in this cigar. There's the type of tobacco they've used in the wrap. There's the type of tobacco. I won't look British anymore. I'm terrified. How horrible. I won't look British anymore. There's another type of tobacco, splendid, that they've used in the binder. And then there's 3 different tobaccos that they use in the fill. Yes. And the ratio of which one is sticking out to you is going to change naturally as you go through the cigar. That's just, the leaves are just not all exactly perfectly uniform. So you will naturally tend to pick up different flavors. In addition, as you smoke through, where we're smoking now, halfway through the cigar, we've already had smoke passing through this part of the cigar from the first half of the cigar that we've smoked and drawn that through. And that's then going to tend to build up flavor profile and intensity, and sometimes lead to a cigar becoming unpleasant. And that's what we call the turn, when a cigar really kind of turns on you and gets a bit nasty. So the reality is the actual flavor of a cigar is going to change as you smoke it. But also keep in mind, when you first light up, we talk about that initial light up. Well, that is also the initial exposure of your palate. And so there's two things going on here. The cigar's just been lit up. The acetone and other things haven't had the chance to get to evaporate out from heat until right that moment. But also your palate hasn't been acclimatized to anything, unless you're Omar and you're onto your 15th cigar for today. Your cigar's being, your palate is being exposed to that smoke for the first time. So there is a little bit of both.
Yes. I think I would say it's quite apart from most Maduros, this cigar.
This one is, yeah.
Much lighter, quicker burn, and also it's that fruitiness that usually you don't see in Maduros. Which I'm not complaining. It's really nice.
I've been trying to find something to compare it to. I'm thinking through, is it Cameroon? Well, no, it's not Cameroon. That's a different flavor profile. Is it Cuban? No, that's a different, like it is quite a distinct and unique flavor profile. I'm not sure that we've had anything quite like this before.
I think I would say that the closest thing I have to that was Adrian Fernandez. Connecticut's a very New World Connecticut's a very Escudo's a very similar, bit more earthier than this, bit more thicker smoke. But yeah, it's I at some point I was like, man, it's got some Cuban-esque stuff every now and then. It reminds me, but it's very different. To say the least, it's very different.
The only thing that I think might have been a cousin of this one would be the Rocky Patel 1990. That I would say, and that was a smaller Vitola, but I think the flavor profile in very broad terms might have been kind of in this direction. But even then, this still kind of stands alone.
Yes. Different. I think spice every now and then, and every few minutes it comes back and it goes, that was one mammoth ring. That was a good one. I just blew a good ring. So great question. Great question, Camp Creek Hill. Yes, every cigar is individual, and what Stu's experiencing may not be exactly the same as what Omar or myself is experiencing, but obviously each cigar is blended out of the same types of tobacco from the same plantation. So these have all come from the same place, essentially. So they're going to be similar, but they won't be exactly the same. And Dan makes a good point here. Even how fast you smoke will actually affect the flavor. Your choice of how you light it up, lighting it up with a spliff or with a match is going to have a different effect on that initial flavor, not so much further into the cigar, but that initial flavor will change again. And the temperature that you're in, you could smoke a cigar in the middle of winter in a cold environment and then smoke the same cigar on a warm afternoon during summer, and you're going to have a different experience with it because it responds to the temperature around you. So it's kind of part of the fun, part of the adventure is, broadly speaking, what you're getting when you pick a particular cigar out of the box, but you don't know exactly what you're going to be getting. And every single one is kind of its own little adventure. Yeah. And I think more importantly so, individual palates are very complex. I think palate comes from the sense of smell primarily, 80% the sense of smell, and the food that you had, your health, it's complexer than that. So the individual taste different things, they will smell different, they like different perfumes, smells because of that. What we smell, it's not the other person smelling. So, although Tofa usually smells like shit. That's a consensus.
Well, I can tell you, this garage smells like sewage and paint fumes. So that has possibly affected my my palate tonight as well.
Oh.
Yeah, beautiful though. You made a comment about burning fast. I'm going to disagree with you. We're about 50 minutes in from when we lit up. this is going to be a decent duration cigar.
I think yes, for an average cigar, for a standard cigar, it's not fast, but for a Maduro, I don't feel that it's tightly packed, and it's for a Maduro.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's not tightly packed. And yes, a Maduro with the oiliness of the wrapper will often give you a particularly slow burn, but I wouldn't say this is fast.
It's not fast, no.
And Dan, you're absolutely right. Omar made this comment earlier. The foot smoke is just fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
Oh.
I've actually foot smokes, right?
Mm.
There are cigar rollers brands that I've never been a fan of foot smoke, and that's your Cigarillos. They always have a harsh, foot smoke. At some point, old mate, your mate, Cigar Man Sam's mate, the good old. You just mentioned ante. That's another hint for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not a fan. He's
right.
Yeah. 79 was probably my favorite cigar out of all of his cigars. But
that was a good stick.
That's a very good stick. Very good stick. But foot smoke is not for every cigar, right? And this is doing a very pleasant job in the foot smoke department.
Camp Creek Hill, you can come anytime you want. I'm loving these questions and the attitude that comes with them. I'm not up to speed with the cigar wanker speak. What's foot smoke? So the foot of the cigar is the bit that's burning, and the foot smoke is just the smoke that's coming off the cigar. And so if you're indoors, that'll create a bit of an aroma in the room. And so we're commenting on the fact that actually that's quite a nice atmosphere that it's creating as it burns.
Yes, absolutely. It's beautiful.
No construction.
Sorry,
you go.
Reference is also made about the foot smoke is because this is not exactly what you are tasting when you smoke a cigar as well. So it could be completely different.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm a double pump guy. I think Topher, you are too. I have this habit of double pumping a cigar, which is very uncommon amongst cigar smokers, but I really like it. I really appreciate it.
I do a double puff, but my initial puff is a very slight one. There's not a lot of draw. It's just a very slight puff. Immediately exhale that, and then I'll do what I consider to be kind of my real puff.
Gotcha.
And I don't know why, but that's a habit that I've fallen into, and I'm quite happy with it as a smoking technique.
And I don't know why I got into this habit either. I have no idea how I got into this habit, but
I find I don't have big draw on it, so I always do a double.
Yeah.
So as to get the burn happening, and then the second one is getting the smoke and keeping it lit properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you, Stu? Have you tried going hook tour and spitting on that thing?
I'll wait until it's nearly finished.
Okay. All right.
That's a good idea. That's cool.
Yeah. No, I don't think I'll do the postman's whistle with this one.
No. Okay. So Tim, that's why you're not on the show. Okay. That's why you were not invited.
Tim is on. He's being cheeky.
Tim prefers the dicks. Yeah. Good construction too.
Very good construction.
Apart from your user error early on, Stu, we've had a perfect run with the construction.
Perfect.
Yeah, now the burn's been right after that, so I'd have to agree that maybe I didn't quite light it properly to begin with.
I don't care whether it's true or not. It's what I'm going with.
And it's not tarring up in there either, so it's not damp.
No.
Mm-hmm. And given how cold it is, In my experience, the colder it is, the more likely they are to tar, and it's not, which is a really, really good sign. So, Omar, you remember I had a cigar in my humidor that I was keeping for when Nicolas Maduro lost power in Venezuela.
Yes.
And I recently had to smoke it because it was starting to split and kind of age out. It was a Bolivar. Yeah, it was going to the dogs, unfortunately, and just wasn't handling the age. And now, only 2 months later, all of a sudden we're watching in Venezuela as well. Look, there's a lot left to play out, but it's entirely possible that we might be seeing the end of Nicolas Maduro's time in power. So, fingers crossed. I might have to buy another Bolivar somewhere and enjoy that.
Yeah, why not relive it?
Mm-hmm.
Now that you've smoked it, he'll give you a phone call.
It is ironic that his name is Maduro, the current dictator of Venezuela.
Yeah.
So, Tim, you mustn't have been here at the start of the show. I was very, very clear that today's show was going to be terrible, and that if you had anything else that you could do, up to and including rewinding your CD collection, that you should really just go and do that rather than watching. But evidently you didn't get the memo. So run along and go and do something better. The best thing about tonight's show is going to be the fact that it's going to make every future show look good. That's the best I've got to offer you.
It's only party stuff. He can leave it and wait.
It's not like it's important or anything.
No.
All right. Stu, where are you?
I'm in Kinglake West. A bit north of Whittlesea.
Is the West important? Because I grew up in West Preston, and the West was very important because we definitely wanted to distinguish ourselves from Preston. Is the West important when it comes to Kinglake?
I tend to think it's, well, it could be considered a little higher class than Kinglake and Central.
Or it was until you moved there.
And it's not, yeah, exactly. And I don't know if it's to do with the people in it, but I think the properties, they're less hilly. There's a lot more flatter land and stuff like that. You start moving out towards the 5-acre properties and more, where the ones closer into town are a bit smaller. So obviously Kinglake itself was first, and then there used to be, I think there used to be a service station and maybe I don't know if it was a pub or if it was a little restaurant or if it was just a bottle shop or something. There was something like that as well. And Central was just another built-up area in between that's got the footy oval. It's got a basketball centre there, and they've got the school and the kinder that everyone goes to out of the 3 schools.
If this was like a tourist review, like a TripAdvisor review, and you were telling me all about the fact that there was a bottle shop and a footy oval, I'd be scratching it off my list of destinations to check out. I'm just saying, if that's what you're reaching for as you try and tell us about how great it is.
We had a post office here, and they've just rebuilt.
Past tense, had.
No. Okay, well, it's back now, not as a post office, but as a tourist attraction. And Kinglake itself has got the post office. Our post office at the moment is the general store, which, funny enough, is Pheasant Creek, which is in between Central and West.
Just stop talking. Stop talking. You're making it worse. You're making it worse.
Central doesn't even have a shop. So we just used that, I think, because they're the 3 locations on the mountain.
Omar, help us out. Where are you?
Sydney-ish, outskirts of Sydney, southwest. West comes back again.
Nice. Well, I'm happy to report I'm in Albury.
Yes, that's good.
And we're not in West Albury.
Ooh.
But the other side of the ridge line that we live on is West Albury. So we're all west or thereabouts.
Westies.
Yeah, we're all Westies. It's not quite the same as Western Sydney, but I've got to say there are parts of West Albury that are a lot like Western Sydney.
Oh, man.
Oh, so here's a piece of trivia.
We don't get in Lake West much.
So here's a piece of trivia for you. We've had this. So when we moved here, we bought this house and we were told that it was the highest house in Albury. And it's got a lovely view and all the rest of it. It's obviously one of the higher houses, but you look across at some of the other ridges and you're like, oh, I don't know if we're the highest house or not. Not that it matters. But anyway, we were told we were the highest house. I went down to the Albury City Council earlier in the week under the effect of the magic mushrooms. I mean, the lion's mane. And when I was feeling, really good, and I still am, by the way, but, just after I perked up, I was feeling good. I went for a walk and I stuck my head in at the council to see if they could tell us whether or not it was true. Is this the highest house or not? And they couldn't tell us. They didn't have any maps or anything that would tell them, and she didn't know where to look to find that out. So today I had the brainwave of just jumping on Google Earth and having a look to see whether Google Earth would give me elevation. And turns out it does. And according to Google Earth, this is the highest house in both Albury and Wodonga. And we're about 5 meters higher than the next highest house that I could find.
That's good.
You're at 280 above sea level.
265 according to Google Earth. But
265. Okay.
Yeah. According to Google Earth. The next highest house, which is just on the Monument Hill, is 260.
Right.
So there you go. Today's piece of completely useless trivia. It turns out that this is, in fact, the highest house in Albury.
And I'm at 560. Well, somewhere between 560 and 580, somewhere around that.
You're somewhere between 560 and freezing your nuts off.
I'm sitting right on top of an oil heater at the moment, so one leg's warm.
If you start screaming in pain, we'll know why.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. We worked. Well, technically, it was Derrimut, not Sunshine West. But yes, I lived in Sunshine for a while, and I discovered. So I was told by people, "Oh, don't move to Sunshine. It's really dangerous. There's lots of scary people." And I discovered, because back then I was fresh out of the military, and I'm just over 6 feet tall, and I was in reasonable shape. When I walked down the street wearing a trench coat, the other people crossed the street to avoid me. It was quite a nice feeling. I've got to say, clearly the reputation of the area preceded me, and I had complete peace and quiet. No one ever bothered me.
So what shape was that?
Not the shape you're in.
I'm in better shape now than I was.
Well, I don't know. You used to be a perfect circle. Now you're a bit more of an oval. So it's just, a bit harder to describe now.
Oh, man. Stephen. Yeah, I agree with that. But this guy wouldn't know what that is. Stephen, you wasting your breath.
So can you translate that into Android for me? I'm a normal human being, not one of these cult members.
Yeah, he's sick.
What I can say with certainty, having now learned that we're at 265 meters, is that we can probably remove flood insurance off our house insurance. If we end up underwater, there are bigger problems.
Bigger problems, bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while.
Yeah, it was called Derrimut when I was working there. All that's ancient history now. The company's gone. They lost the contract. I was butting heads with the union guys there. I'm like, guys, if you keep getting the pay rises you're getting, you're going to lose the contract, and all your boys are going to be out of work. And it didn't matter to me, because I was in my late 20s and early 30s working there, and it's like, well, who cares? I'll go and find another job, no problem. But there were guys in their 50s and early 60s, and I'm like, if this place loses their contract, these guys are screwed. They're not old enough to retire, but they're going to struggle to find another job. And sure enough, they priced themselves out of the contract. It went to another company over the road, and a whole lot of those guys, I bumped into one of them years later, actually, at a Bunnings of all places, and had a quick chat with him. And yeah, he'd never found another job. It was the worst thing for him.
change of topic, sudden change of topic.
Sure.
Jobs to how bad is the economy these days, man? It's so fucked up. Apparently, Canada is fucked. It is completely fucked. The prices of things and so
Yep. Well, it's quite funny. I recently rewatched I gave about a 15-minute talk in 2016 after I came back from Venezuela, and warning back then that if we keep doing stupid stuff like what we are, then we're on the pathway to there. And we think we're immune. We think it can't happen here. But that's exactly what they thought, right? They thought the exact same thing. And they had good reason to think the exact same thing. They were the wealthiest country in South America. Even into the 80s and 90s, they were an incredibly wealthy country. And what was it, late 90s, Chavez took over, and the whole place in 25 years has just gone absolutely down the toilet. And unfortunately, we're continuing to make the same mistakes here. So we've either got to wise up real quick or we're going to learn the hard way.
It's not going to wise up. No one's going to wise up.
Don't know about no one. I've got some hope. I've got some hope. Maybe only a fool's hope, but that was good enough for Frodo, so it's good enough for me. Yeah, Dan's had some massive wins recently, and well done to you, Dan. I'll say publicly for everyone to hear what I've said to you privately before. You're one of these blokes who has always just gone, okay, you've copped another hit, and you've just gone, all right, what do I have to do? How do I find a way? And you've been doing that for years, and you've persevered for years, and finally you've got a bit of not a lucky break, a hard work break. And it's starting to pay off. And I'm so thrilled, so thrilled about what's happened for you recently, Dan. So salute and well done to you for that perseverance over those tough years that you've had.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing.
I thought you were going, Tim.
He keeps getting our hopes up and then disappointing us by still being here.
He's a good guy. We got to leave Tim alone. He's a good guy. He's a good human.
Listen, I note that he only said see you later to you. He specifically did not extend the courtesy to me or to Stu. And I think that says a lot about the respective relationships in this room.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
All right. We're in the business end now.
Yeah,
you let it go out. You let it go out, you schmuck. Amateur. You're on the Cigar Professor, Stu. You're supposed to be better than that.
Too busy talking.
But
I do have.
So you're perfect draw. Well done. So down the business end, let's do a flavor check here. There's a peppery, the pepper and the tartness have kind of combined for me. There's quite a strong sour twist. The pepper is definitely strengthening. It's still on the tip of the tongue. It's not a black pepper. It's a top lip, tip of the tongue kind of pepper. Still pretty clean. Even though we're right down the business end, it's still really clean. Still a very enjoyable flavor profile, but that pepper is definitely kicking in now.
Yeah, I think it's very touch harsher, just a little bit harsher, but it's still enjoyable as we go.
Yeah. I'm sipping on the tea a little bit more often just to try and sort of smooth out the sharpness of the flavor profile. That sourness is lingering. It stays there for 20 seconds after a puff. You've got that sourness on the tongue. Beautiful stick. I'd love to have a box of these in the humidor. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Last month's stick came good, and it was good through that middle section, but it left me feeling like, do I want to invest in this stick knowing that it's going to be bland for the first 20 minutes every time you light one up? Whereas this one, I feel like you're just going to get a good stick all the way through.
Yeah.
So you say humidor. Guess what? I finally got my hands on the very last of.
Oh, you did? Yeah, that's a beautiful box.
Finally.
Such
Bit
a
of work.
beautiful box. Sorry.
Bit of work came in at the last minute.
Ah,
And
lovely.
said to Damo, I said, "Can I get this last pack hopefully before Wednesday?" And he's like, And I thought,
Yeah,
so
good.
I'm going to treat myself, and I finally got it.
Nice,
Beautiful.
very nice. Camp Creek Hill's asking a good question here. So you never stub a cigar out. You put it down and let it go out by itself. And that's just because you... Sorry?
Retire a cigar. That's what.
Yeah, you retire the cigar. It's if you stub it out, you'll end up with a really acrid kind of smell coming from it as it cools down. If you just place it down, then you'll just get the same enjoyable foot smoke sort of smell coming off it while it cools. But yes, as soon as you're not enjoying it, this is the thing with cigars. Your palate is your palate, and your experience is your experience. And you put it down the minute you feel like putting it down. There's no rules around this. In Australia, we tend to smoke a lot further than Americans and Europeans do. That's largely because they're so damned expensive and there's so much tax on them. But if we were in America, we would have already put it down. We wouldn't even be smoking this far.
Yeah, that's exactly. 2 fingers.
Yeah. 3 if you're feeling adventurous. Oh, wait, sorry, we're talking about the cigar.
Cigars, yes. Still.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. What? I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Cigars, of course.
Cigars.
Actually,
Yeah, that's right.
There's been a few bingo words we haven't used in this episode.
True.
The moist.
Mm-hmm. That one doesn't come up so much anymore. That was a very, very popular word for the first year or two.
Yeah, very, very popular.
Maybe we've matured a little bit.
Yeah.
Or these
I hope. Yeah. Something has.
Well, we ended up not going through with the plan to have a gathering in Albury last month, but perhaps once the weather warms up a little bit and we can have a bit more sunshine a little bit later when the sun's going down at 9:30 instead of 5:30. Sometime late this year, early next year, I'll try again and see if we can make a gathering work in Albury.
Of course.
Yeah, we'll get out to that property that you were talking about, and we'll go and grab the deer and chuck it on the spit.
Yep. Well, there's no phone reception out there, so there won't be a show from there. But we might be able to gather a bunch of good people there for a weekend or something.
Yeah. That's it.
We'll come up early and go out earlier on in the week and make sure that we can get one.
Oh, you'll have no trouble getting a deer there, mate. You could just literally stand on the front porch with the thermal scope, and it's just, there's 2 deer over there. There's another couple up in the tree line over there. That might be more over there. We're not sure. Wombats everywhere.
I don't know what deer you've been looking for, but I've never found any in the trees.
I think they'd been eating some of those mushrooms we were talking about before.
Hey,
Tim and I have done 3 cows now.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's not a nice way to talk about your girlfriend, but
Those thermal scopes are very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Very expensive.
Yep.
Very expensive.
A mate of mine, he enjoys his hunting, and he drops 10 grand on a thermal scope, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Hey. Oh.
Yeah. But you get it sighted in, and you're literally just hunting through a thermal scope, and like it's just amazing.
Dude, that's a lot.
It's probably only good. You can only be sure of what you're looking at within about 200 meters.
Yeah.
But at night, if you've got no lights of your own, you can usually get within 150 or closer of these deer up there, because they're used to being near farms and properties and things like that. They don't spook as easily as if you were in the middle of nowhere, where they weren't used to any kind of human activity. And so we were able, they got a deer while I was out with them. I didn't shoot, but I was out with them. And they got a deer, probably walked into about 75 meters from it. And from there, it's a real easy shot from there, especially through a scope like that. Sorry?
Big one?
No, it was a medium-sized doe, if my memory serves me correctly. And cut it up and harvested it and got all the meat out of it and all that sort of stuff. Did all the right things. But yeah, it's hunting on easy mode up there. It's ridiculous.
Is it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So in an afternoon, no, in 2 nights. Sorry, let me get this right. In 2 nights, we got a roo. We missed a deer under the dumbest of circumstances, and it got away. And then we got a deer the following night, and we got a couple of ducks.
Ooh. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you had a permit for the roo, didn't you?
Yeah. The property owner does, because they are a pest and a problem up there. And like I said, I wasn't doing any of the shooting. But yeah, they just head up there from time to time and just fill the freezer.
Yeah. And that's the kind of property I'll be looking for.
They don't shoot the wombats, but boy, you'd have an endless in a zombie apocalypse scenario. You would have an endless feast on wombat if you knew how to cook it.
Really? It was only a year or two ago that you weren't allowed to shoot them. Before you were, and most of us didn't even know that until there was a property out here at King Lake somewhere where somebody was getting international shooters over. They were coming over, and the sole purpose was to shoot wombats, and the word got out. And of course, people got a little upset about it, and then all of a sudden, the new law came out.
Well, this place is just wombat heaven. With the thermal scope, you almost can't look somewhere where you can't see a wombat. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we get a lot here too.
Yeah.
Can you find them cheaper secondhand or not?
Wombats. I don't think there's a secondhand market for wombats.
There's plenty on the side of the road you can have for free.
Yeah.
They all got their legs in the air.
That's how you like them, isn't it, Stu?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well,
No, I couldn't tell you, Omar, with the thermal scopes. I don't know. Do people sell them? I don't know.
They do. So what happens is people go out and get a thermal. They get used to it, and then they decide that maybe they might spend a bit more money and upgrade. And so they flog the one that they've got and upgrade to another one.
You can buy 10 guns, like different.
There's a guy in the UK that I watch. He does. He's a professional vermin control sort of guy, and he's got a setup which is quite interesting to me. It's mostly high velocity, small caliber stuff. He's shooting sort of small pest sort of creatures, but he's got a setup from a vehicle where it's got. Is it UV or is it infrared? I can't remember, but one or the other. Floodlights. Oh, yeah. They're not visible to the naked eye. Infrared. And he's got one of the scopes that can see that. And so from his point of view, he might as well be hunting in broad daylight, but the animals can't see him.
Yeah.
And so he can just cruise up to a ridgeline somewhere, switch off the motor and sit there and just wait for a little while. And, it's never very long before, bang, 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 he's knocking them down. It's just shooting in daylight in the middle of the night.
Wow. You can only do that on private property. So the law around shooting deer at night on public land is forbidden.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. Like I said, this guy's in the UK and he's doing like vermin control, etc. But
well, that's also different. Yeah, you got a license for that. You can go out and there are people that are contracted to go on public land to do it at night, which gets up the nose of some of the hunters because they go in there and shoot hundreds and just let them sit there.
I agree with Dan. That sounds so much better.
I'd rather the humidor full of cigars.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Any day. Get someone else to go.
Shoot during the day and cigars at night.
Yeah.
The other thing with the UK is that it's considered rude not to have a suppressor on your rifle when you're out hunting.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, you just about can't get them.
Yeah.
Careful what you say, Stu. This is public.
I am.
I've heard that harmonic balances are in demand.
Is it now?
Right.
They attach to the end of the barrel, and they balance the harmonics of the rifle barrel and the flex in the rifle barrel when you shoot, and can help to tighten your groupings. And apparently they're reasonably popular as an attachment in Australia.
Is that different to a muzzle brake?
Different to a muzzle brake, yes. They do have the unintended effect of suppressing the muzzle report, but that is an unintended consequence of a harmonic balancer. They're not a suppressor. You need to understand they're definitely not a suppressor. That's an unintended consequence of having the harmonic balancer on the barrel of your rifle.
Okay. Because when you said harmonic balancer, I couldn't quite work out the correlation between the small round thing on the front of a motor.
No, different, slightly different, just very slightly different. Yeah. Well, I've nubbed it right down, but it is starting to get a bit nasty on me. A couple more puffs, and then I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it done. But honestly, hour and 20 minutes since we lit up.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
And effortless. It hasn't demanded any attention at any point in time. Beautiful construction. Yeah.
And the label came off nice and clean too.
Yeah. Ditto. Mine slid off.
Yeah.
Beautiful presentation.
Beautiful.
I commented on this last month. There are some brands that try and go for like a classic look, and it just ends up looking kitsch, looking sort of cheap. But these guys have done a really good job. They've sort of the classic colors, the gold and the red, a bit of heraldry and so forth on it, but it is still distinctly theirs. It's not a rip-off of, any other brand.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, mate. Appreciate having you here on the stream. Jump on the Cigar Professor Facebook page and send us a message through the Facebook page if you want to get the next pack. We've got one more month on this pack, and then we'll be on to pack 16. Can you believe?
Yeah. Pack 16.
Mm-hmm. One more month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, never mind.
Yeah, one more month, and then we're on to pack 16. Crazy. Which means, at the end of that pack, we're turning 4.
Ooh, heavy.
Wow.
It flies.
Who would have thought? Before we know it, the Cigar Professor is going to be 5 years old.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Crazy. Yeah.
Super.
And Damo's already bought enough cigars to get us there.
Yeah, he does.
So keep him alive.
We got to. Hey. For selfish reasons as well as for friendship reasons, we got to keep that guy going.
Yeah, we have to.
Well, I'm going to call that done. That's it's starting to turn a bit harsh on me, but beautiful cigar. And I tell you what, it's always nice to see brands doing something a little bit different. And I haven't really seen a brand trying to go back in history and figure out, well, what did they used to smoke and how do we recreate that? And honestly, I'm so glad they did. I think it's just a really good. Oops, there we go. Addition to the cigar world. So I'd happily have a box of those in the humidor. I might have to hit up Damo when he's feeling a bit better and see if I can get a box of those off him.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I really like it.
So no, not the study group. There's a page, the Cigar Professor Facebook page. Send a message to that, and then we'll get that, and we'll sort out the next pack for you.
I think the cigar after that is a special cigar.
Yeah,
it's a very special cigar.
Next month, I don't have it with me, but yes, well, hopefully we'll have Damo back with us to tell us all about it.
Yeah. Which one is it?
The Elysium, yeah.
Is that the big one?
Yeah, they're all the same. They're about the same size as this. So they're all like You
I
still
said I
go.
was going to. Yeah, I said I was going to put it down, and then I just couldn't leave it alone. So
Yeah, that's a good sign. That's always a good sign. Yeah, that's it.
that's the one for next week. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
next
it.
month. I mean, yep. So hopefully we'll have Damo with us to tell us all about it
Yeah, hopefully.
and give us an update on how he's going.
Yeah, that's it.
But until then, thank you all very much. Omar, always a
Thank
pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Stu,
Thank you.
thanks for filling in and
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
and for setting a low watermark with us that we can only improve on from here.
Well, something's got to be able to help you improve, and by dragging you down, it can only get better.
You're dead right. You're dead right. So thank you for your service to mankind. We appreciate it. Tune in next month for what promises to be an absolutely riveting show after this one. Thank you all very much for joining us. We'll see you next month.
See you guys.